Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And it's a Wednesday, and I'm back with our resident engineer, Mike Herzog. How's it going today, Mike?
I am back and ready to talk EVs, David. My
All
EV
right,
is in
great.
the shop right now.
Oh, no.
I got a message that said electrical system issue, and it's like, with an EV, that's probably a pretty important one.
It sounds like it could be, right? Yeah, that sounds like it could. Well, hopefully it's nothing real
No,
major.
I don't think it's still under warranty, and I got my mileage and everything like that. So I'll tell you though, I signed up for that recurrent a couple of months ago. It's a really neat feature. They send me a report, every little couple of weeks and say, here's how you're performing, different times. I like it.
Does it give you that percentage score?
Yeah. I don't remember what mine is, but I don't know. Because I was worried my battery was starting to degrade more, and all over once. Maybe it was just a coincidence. After I signed up for recurrent, I started getting a lot more miles out of it after a charge. But
I wonder if it's possible their software does something to update something.
No, I was just saying that as I think it had more to do with it was transitioning from winter to spring. So I was
What kind of percentages to say your battery's at?
It was good. It was in the 90s, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, after 3 or 4 years, like they said, this is a great rating for this vehicle, and kind of where it should be on the upper end of where it should be. But what a cool service! I mean, it took 5 minutes, to sign up. I really liked it.
I've looked at car dealerships that use the recurrent report, and we're not doing like an advertisement for recurrent here, guys. They don't sponsor us or anything like that. Oh. But I was noticing that it seemed like for every percentage down it was from 100, the car had about what we usually see is about 13,000 miles. Mm-hmm. So if one was at 90%, it was a 130,000 mile car, and that it seemed to be fairly accurate in that regards. Now, I'm really curious what it would do to Bill's car, where he's currently showing 25% extra miles. He's so proud that his 250 mile battery car always shows he has like 320 miles of range left.
All right.
Yeah, on a full charge. I mean, and I'm like, Bill, you're really making yourself look old. People already think old people drive too slow. And
but it's learned from you. That's really squeezing the juice out of that line.
He sure is. He's getting the most out of his electrons.
But it's cool. Right. Yeah. No, we're not endorsing them, but it's a neat service. It's a good one out there.
Yeah. So let's start out talking about the 2026 Nissan Leaf. So this is really kind of exciting. So the Nissan is releasing for 26, and this is interesting because the car keeps getting cheaper. Okay, it doesn't get more expensive. $29,990 for the S Plus trim, with 303 miles of range for 30 grand. And it also
no, not quite. $29,999.
Yeah. Yeah. And it has NACS, so it's eligible to use the Tesla supercharger network. Yeah. So the 26 Leaf is lower than it was. Its MSRP is lower than it was 15 years ago, when the Leaf came out for $32,780.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
15 years later,
it
is 10% cheaper.
I think just over the past couple of months, that is the trend you and I have been seeing on all of this, is that price point of a vehicle, and it is just a standard 20 to 30,000, no bells and whistles, but reasonable amount of range, just a cheap vehicle, which is great for the industry, that they're at that point of the jumping off point of like, we figured a lot of stuff out and we know how to make these now. It's just going to get cheaper.
No, this is really cool. I mean, you're talking a little 4-door car that let's see. This is a nice looking color here.
It has to be silver, right? Oh no, it's different. No. It's like every Leaf I've seen is either dark blue or silver. So they got
that's a pretty color. but it's just quite the change in that product. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't include the destination charge. Only comes in 4 colors. Has a small touch screen, but still, it's a 300-mile sub 30,000 EV that people say we need.
Mhm.
It's $1,440 more than a base Toyota Prius, but it's still a lot less than its original price tag. Let's see. Yeah, also the Kia EV4 has gotten really cheap. Somebody was mentioning, but that's just a great price. And now, obviously, EVs are going to start undercutting gas
Yeah.
cars on price.
And I think that's like, this is the third or fourth one we've seen that has really gone at that 30K price point and trying to be at it or down below it. And yeah, once that introduces that healthy competition, I think it's game on. We're continuing the game on for all of these EVs.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. No, I'm happy to hear that, because that's one of those doesn't come up a lot anymore. It's Leaf was such a forefront on that, and it's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. But now that they're coming back, I'm happy to see that a lot.
Yeah, it's just that's an exciting thing to see in the space. I mean, we were talking a week or so ago about an upcoming Ford truck for about $30,000 or less. It's it's just exciting to see where that's kind of leading, right? So anyways, and folks, you may have noticed we got a new feature where we got scrolling stock information going across. So yesterday Ford was up, today Ford is down. It's not much of a difference. NVIDIA is the one that I always like to see, along with AMD. And the reason is because those are big chip makers that it kind of tells you where like AI is going. And I'm trying to figure out why they're going down. And Microsoft's another one that's big in that space. That yesterday and today, the AI stocks, while they're not, Microsoft has its own AI with Copilot and stuff like that. But I look at it a little bit differently. And then Nano took a big hit. Somebody from Motley Fool came out and said that they felt that they were priced at they were at $37. So you saw it was 29 there, and they think it's only worth $9.
Ooh.
Somebody at Motley Fool, and
that
part of this. Well, this is the nature of the nuclear industry right now. And when you're talking about the small modular reactor space, hardly anybody other than NuScale actually has any revenue. And NuScale's revenue is licensing. It's not actually because they've sold any reactors or anything like that. And so what's the difference there is it's tough to judge because there's not real revenue. A lot of it is what are they doing scientifically? What are they doing to get customers? And I don't think there's a lot of real, though those changes, as you and I've discussed, they don't happen quickly.
Yeah.
So the fact that the stock bounces up and down so much is kind of a unique thing. So there's like NuScale. So NuScale's got a market cap of like $9 billion or $10 billion, and they're down 9 cents. It's insignificant. They have like 400 employees in the space, and they're the only ones that have 2 reactor designs approved by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission here in the U.S. Okay. I've got something I wanted to touch on in that regard. So remember that Department of Energy Zoom we were on?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they've picked 11 projects for the pilot program, and 3 of them are targeted to go critical in 12 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know Oklo is one of those.
Okay.
So I don't know who all the others are, but the pilot program to build small nuclear reactors, 3 of them are targeted to go critical in under 12 months. Not another decade-long study. This is the product on a fast track. The West is behind. China and Russia have already been doing SMRs. Data centers and AI have an unprecedented surge in electricity demand. And the Department of Energy can greenlight these test reactors directly, bypassing the usual Nuclear Regulatory Commission delays. Well, the selected companies include Oklo, Deep Fission, Terrestrial Energy, Last Energy, Radiant. I didn't know Last Energy actually had a reactor. Radiant and more. Each is responsible for design, construction, and decommissioning. So the government's not contributing.
They're not contributing. They're just
They're-
helping with the permitting.
Yeah, just helping with the permits. And maybe the United States can catch up in the nuclear space. We do have the most nuclear reactors in the world,
We still
right?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, but China's on track to pass us up in a couple of years, and be interesting.
Well,
to see
it's a
how that
gap.
goes.
I mean, it's a gap in our in the power industry. I mean, there's a huge slew of them, and then a 20 to 30 year break where we weren't really adding anything new. So
Isn't that crazy? It's just hard to imagine that the gap was that many years.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. So we saw the last big surge we saw in the power industry was 60s and 70s because of AC. And when AC started to come on, it just blew the industry up. So we saw a lot of nuclear adoption after that, a lot of coal added. But in that period, it was just so cheap to do coal. And coal was abundant, and we weren't, concerned about emissions or anything like that. So it couldn't keep up with the price of coal. A brand new coal plant was relatively cheap to put in. So now that we're seeing this resurgence again from data and computing power and everything like that, and coal's not an option, like, it just makes so much dang sense that nuclear would be the route to go for that base load. But we'll see where we end up.
So I got kind of a funny one. So the chairman of Toyota, Akio Toyoda, claimed that one electric vehicle produces emissions equivalent to 3 hybrid cars. It's like,
Go figure Toyota said that.
Yeah, because Toyota is a leader in hybrids, right?
Yeah.
And his argument says on life cycle emissions, particularly in regions like Japan, where electricity comes from fossil fuel heavy grids such as coal and natural gas. Yeah, but still, an electric motor is more efficient than gas. It's more efficient than, those things.
So I just did a presentation on this on solar and just emissions from power generation, and just amazing studies out there where they consider everything from harvesting materials to where it was manufactured to decommissioning to lifetime. And the upfront, it's true, like for solar, batteries, everything, it is more carbon intensive than natural gas, than everything, than coal. But you have to burn coal and you have to burn natural gas for the lifetime, and it's not even close after that. And I think it's going to has to be a similar case with internal combustion engine vehicles, where I will agree, like the upfront mineral harvesting and manufacturing may be more intensive, but you're not burning gas anymore directly. I don't know. I will say a side note on that. The number one efficient project for carbon emissions over life is ocean wave capture.
Okay.
It does. Number two is nuclear, by a long shot over.
Yeah, they're doing that ocean wave capture over in India.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any, but heard much about it here in the U.S. But
and it's that one. Their sample size is like 8 projects compared to everybody else's hundreds, or thousands of what these are. So
well, look at geothermal. How many geothermal projects? It's probably very similar to that wave theory stuff. There's just not.
But it's one of those comments I got to say. I bet somebody has done that study, and it would be interesting to see, because the arguments of up front it is tougher, it is more carbon intensive, but you're not burning gasoline, you're not burning diesel throughout it. So I don't see how it could keep up.
Well, according to the U.S.-based Argonne National Laboratory, EVs offset their higher production emissions after 19,000 to 45,000 kilometers of driving, depending on the grid's carbon intensity. So it's 45,000 if it's all carbon, but it's on the lower end if it's using some renewables. And, in Europe, they've said that it takes about 18 months to offset. And that's really interesting, because he's trying to say that hybrids somehow. Now, I will say this: Toyota
Hybrid,
sells.
incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that 5% of U.S. car sales are Toyota hybrids. Okay. Now they also make plug-in hybrids, and they're doing a great job with that. But I mean, that would be saying that somehow now he's talking about more in Japan, but still, if they're selling plug-in hybrids in Japan, well, then you're saying then
Yeah.
because they're using electricity, it's dirtier than burning gas. I mean, it just a
It,
weird argument. The guy's losing credibility by
it is,
selling
and
stuff like that.
you and I both laughed up front because we've talked about it before. I mean, Toyota has been notably absent from the all electric plug-in, but they're huge in the hybrid space.
Yeah.
They're great. God, the Sienna gets 36 miles in the city, and
Yeah.
the new Highlanders I think do too. Like they're
Oh
great
yeah.
for a hybrid car. They're kicking butt out there, no doubt
Oh
about
yeah. The
it.
hybrid Camry now gets like 44 city and highway.
Yeah, that's insane. That's
Oh,
insane.
it's really efficient. Of course, they make the Prius, and the Prius you can get it as a plug-in hybrid as well. I mean, they're doing wonders. There's no question that Toyota is not doing great things to be more environmentally friendly with their cars, but still,
So that's quite the statement to make. I don't.
yeah.
You can kind of poke it a little bit and it deflates.
Well, I've heard him also say it's like, look, for one of those big batteries, I can make 5 hybrids.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not like lithium isn't readily available. Then you don't need all those engines.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Well, and didn't Toyota just announce 6 months ago, that hey, we're going to be in 30 new all electric vehicles, and that number kept going up, and
They keep saying that. Well, and then they show the 700-mile range solid state battery.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he says that.
Well, you just wonder if the CEO is a little out of step with the rest of the board and direction of the company, and that's maybe that's telling of why they've been so resistant to all plug-in EVs for a long time. Was the head doesn't want to do it.
Well, there's a lot of people that for whatever reason feel they never want to drive an EV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but usually it's because they think there's something dangerous about them, that they're crashing, that they're catching on fire, exploding, whatever it is, the craziness that they think, which isn't the case. There's some people say they'd never have an EV, but they really just don't know, right? And as what is it? If you took EVs and hybrids combined, it's about 20% of car sales in the United States. And you look at EVs alone, are 25% of car sales in California and on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's happening. It's just in certain parts of the country, especially rural places, you're probably not seeing any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all anecdotal, but just driving down the street, we're in the middle of the country where it's kind of one of the last places where new technology hits and gets adapted, but it's notable. I mean, it's notable. Now, granted, I'm very biased in what I'm looking at and paying attention to it, so I think I see all of them. But gosh, the number of like Volkswagen ID4s out there now, holy cow! I see a couple of them every time I go out driving somewhere. I mean, it's really impressive how fast it's starting to ramp up.
All right, I've got a weird topic today. And so this is we talk sometimes about the energy efficiency of different things, what it costs to produce a kilowatt of this versus a kilowatt of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this are the death rates for different technologies. Now, coal and produces about 1 death every 1.6 days. Now,
you're going to have to back up, man. I don't think I've ever heard that ratio.
This gets kind of hysterical. I'm going to go to another article I found from Forbes on the topic, whether it's 12 years old.
Okay.
This information was something that was on LinkedIn today. Okay. And I don't know exactly the guy gives some sources and I haven't gone to the sources. Okay. But imported oil results in a death every 2.2 days. Now, I don't
And this
know.
this is in the United States.
This is in the United States.
U.S. Okay.
Okay. Nuclear is a death every 19 months. Now, somebody chimed in and said all those nuclear deaths, though, are either somebody like falling off a ladder or, somebody had a heart attack at work.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it could kind of be that way. But one every 19 months doesn't seem quite so bad. I mean,
Wow.
people,
If you think about,
if you
we've
look
had
about
nuclear for
100 nuclear power plants around the United
for
States.
50 years. So,
Yeah.
One person gets hurt every other year kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Wind, one death every 33 months.
Okay.
Solar, one every 66 months. And somebody chimed in, they said, okay, there's a huge issue with people falling off of roofs. And I bet you a lot more people fall off of roofs and they don't blame it on the solar. That probably die. The solar one may be worse than that. And geothermal is one death every 66 months. But I was like, well, where are you calculating this? But
I'm trying to think of the stats on that. So
coal and gas.
solar's really been around for 10, 15 years. So that means like three people,
Like three
four people in the
have died from
industry have
solar.
died. So like one person is gonna, take
Really?
20% off that number or something.
Well, it was just like Bill and I reviewed some article that said one of the biggest threats to men in New York City was dying from an EV bicycle catching on fire. And the number, your chance of dying from an EV bike fire was, as a male in New York City, was about a third the chance of you being struck by lightning and dying. Okay. So it wasn't zero, but it had happened. And it somehow made the top 5 causes of death for men under 30 in New York City somehow.
It's probably one of those, like, it happened once and then it happened again. So it's doubled. Your likelihood has doubled.
Right. It's doubled.
It's happening too.
So anyways, I went looking. Somebody linked to an article from Forbes, but it was actually from 2012. Okay. So take this with a grain of salt. These numbers have certainly changed. Okay. This was globally. The global average outside of China was 100,000 people a year died from coal. Okay. Now this could be, I don't know if this was just workers. I doubt it was just workers. I'm sure this had to include people in the area, but the number in China alone was 170,000 a year. People dying from coal.
Well, I bet if you factor in like the mining and through all the mining and transport accidents and things like that in there, like maybe.
Yeah. Coal in the US annually.
That's gotta be health concerns. That's a lot of freaking people.
It is. Coal in the US, 10,000 deaths a year. So this is a number from 12 years ago. Now we know that those coal numbers were significantly worse in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that this includes people in the area. But it said that oil in the US was responsible for 36,000 deaths a year. Now, you could take that in a lot of different ways. I mean, we know that like 50,000 plus people a year die in car accidents, right? I mean, are you blaming that? It said natural gas was only 4,000. So it got a little weird. But then it also said solar was 440 people a year. Oh, this is worldwide. That one's worldwide.
That one's worldwide.
So, yeah, I don't know. Some of that got a little.
They have to be attributing like emissions and asthma rates and chronic diseases, because otherwise, like I was thinking, oil production, like that's a dangerous job. Like if you
Well,
worked on a rig in the Gulf, or something, but not thousands of people dangerous or
yeah,
dying
it seems a little
here.
wild.
That doesn't make sense.
Hydro globally, 1,400 people. And wind was only 150. And one of the things that goes on to say is like people do regularly fall off the stupid wind turbines, that are up there working on them
Yeah.
because
Well,
they're put in windy places and it's windy.
I mean, I not to be morbid about it, but like worldwide, all the different things, like 158 people falling off or getting something dropped on them, or yeah, okay, maybe that seems reasonable.
Okay.
Hydro, how the hell
Okay.
did 14
Okay.
people
So
die?
here's the deal. Hydro is dominated by few rare large dam failures. There was one in China in 76, which killed 171,000 people.
So,
So the average.
okay. That makes
So,
it's one incident averaged out over 60
over
years.
100 years, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with dams, I guess that's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot. When it's saying the global average is, the U.S. hydro average loss is 5 people.
Okay, and that's probably the
versus
same.
1,400 globally.
Yeah, like one accident, or something like that. Because
okay, the nuclear global average deaths is 90. In the U.S., it's 0.1.
wow,
So it's one death every 10 years. But this was in, like I said, this was in 2012.
2012.
Yeah, so I'm reporting some kind of old stats, but it was kind of trying to compare it to this thing on LinkedIn, and it's just it was a Harvard study that came up with the those stats the guy's using on LinkedIn. Of course, it doesn't mean it's any better, right? In the U.S., 350,000 premature deaths are attributed to fossil fuel pollution, with the majority of those in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Illinois, New Jersey, Wisconsin. Man, you really are all up in the northeast corner of the country.
Yeah.
Let's see. In India, fossil fuel pollution was responsible for nearly 2.5 million people, representing 4% of total deaths in India for people over age 14. That was in 2018, that basically air pollution was responsible for 30% of deaths of people over age 14. Wow,
holy smokes.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just hard to comprehend how polluted the air is in some of these places. So that's a lot of it, So we think about these numbers, we think about the US. These numbers had to be more global, but some of this didn't make any sense. Solar, one death every 66 months. How can that really be real? Because the other one even gave bigger numbers. So that stuff's kind of inconsistent, but you never really know where some of that is really going to end up going.
You'd really, really have to get into what they're including, what they're not, and yeah, it's you know what, it's interesting. Okay, yeah, let's see what they got to say.
Anyways, I got one more. I got somebody trying to compare different costs, and they're trying to downplay nuclear, and they don't ever take into effect the costs of SMR, right? They always want to go back and talk about the worst projects, like the Georgia projects. Yeah, and to see where that is, because he's like, okay, nuclear realistic expectation. This guy's in Europe because he's quoting stuff, or he's in the UK. He's actually quoting stuff in euros. 12 to 15 billion euros in capex, which on a grid scale reactor, probably not unreal. But he's saying the operating expense is $100 to $120 a kilowatt annually. He uses kilowatts rather than kilowatt hours. That could just be he might just cut that out.
It's how you size the plant, like what its nameplate capacity is.
Yeah. And the other thing is he's saying levelized cost of energy $120 to $200 a megawatt hour. So that's 12 to 20 cents a kilowatt. In reality, we know in the United States, the grid scale nuclear, well, that's not levelized, but their operating expense is more like 2 cents a kilowatt. And this
That's
guy's
always
showing
been
it as
the
10 to 12.
traditional advantage of nuclear over coal. The fuel's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Per unit of energy it produces, like it's not comparable. I mean, nuclear is much cheaper to actually burn.
Well, and he's trying to give, these were German numbers. Okay, Germany doesn't even do nuclear energy at
They
the
don't
moment.
do nuclear, yeah.
No. So they're talking about in Germany, solar, wind, and battery storage benchmarks are that the operating expenses would be like 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt. The levelized cost of energy be 4 to 7 cents a kilowatt. Only take 5 to 7 years to build versus nuclear might be 15 years to build.
And that's if you're building an industry from the ground up, absolutely. Those costs and overheads and time frames and all of those, and even the first one you do, even if you're mature in that space, it's going to be more expensive than the fifth one you do when it comes up. But I mean, yeah, a big old 500,000 megawatt nuclear plant. It's going to be expensive in 2025. I mean, there's no doubt around it.
Well, the funny thing is, they look at these project durations, but when I'm looking at what's going on in the nuclear space with the construction of small modular reactors, they're going to be trucked to the reactor site instead of built on site one at a time. And they're going to be built on production lines. You're going to have, you're going to start seeing these things go up. We're talking like in 18 months, we figure.
Well, we're going to have
once 2030
potentially 3 projects online by next July, modular reactors. I mean, then that'll be a great case study in first cost and deployment time and all of that. But they're talking 12 months. They might be able to have them up online.
Yeah. Now, their levelized cost of energy probably going to be on the top end of what battery storage and wind and solar would, be at. They're not going to be at the low end of that. Okay.
No. It's and once again though, I mean, wind's had 20 years to reduce and become efficient. Solar's going on 10 to 15 years, and batteries are on 5 to 10 years. So it's you're competing with a mature product today, but you're also going to mature. So you got a lot of ground to gain.
Yeah, I think the SMR nuclear will start getting costs down to like 2-3 cents, but it'll be like 2035. The funny thing is, like I talked to Professor Tratner, and he's like, when we were first promised nuclear energy, it was going to be so inexpensive that everybody was basically going to get it for free.
Yeah.
Now, but even if it was free, that doesn't include the cost of transmission, right? So this is one of my arguments, like in New York State, where they get energy from Canada for 4 cents a kilowatt, but they pay 25 cents. Even if it was free, it would still be 21 cents, right? So you're still dealing with costs that the reactor itself doesn't necessarily, because that's one of the things with wind. So a lot of the long-term cost of wind is essentially free.
Yeah.
So
once you put it up, it just blows.
Yeah. So it's hard to understand that, because the turbines don't require a great deal of service compared to what reactors and things like that require. But it's always interesting, because I'll see people that they're always wanting to compare their favorite energy versus another one's worst case scenario.
I've been through so many dang statistics and numbers, and you could pull whatever you wanted out of a hat and look at it and look at the different units, or when the third full moon of the year, if you look at it from precisely this angle, then this is a better technology option.
What is the expression? Lies, statistics, and damn lies, or something like that?
I don't
I can't remember what the expression is. I mean, statistics, obviously, it's pretty easy to, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
And political arguments, they're cherry picking something. And I still can't get over the one, though, about our senator and the EVs weighing 3 times as much as gas cars. Like, where'd that one come from? It's like, are we comparing the Hummer to a Nissan Versa? It's like they're 2 completely different classes of automobiles.
Fit on top of that, like a space shuttle going.
There you go. You carry it around on top of it. Let's see. I got one more, and it's about the lithium wars. Energy X, Tesla, and the race to reinvent the battery supply. And Energy X is a Texas-based startup that is deploying a patented lithium extraction process called LITAS.
Okay. I'm assuming since it's Energy X, it's a Tesla product. Since it's got the X on there.
I haven't determined that.
Maybe not Tesla, but within the Elon Musk family of businesses.
Let's see. Well, here's what they do. They pump brine into vast evaporation ponds, and the lithium salts are shoveled into trucks. Energy X's system skips the sun and scooping entirely. Brine is piped directly into modular units where lithium ions are captured using absorbents purified via solvent extraction and converted into battery-grade lithium hydroxide through electrodialysis. Recovery rates over 90%, minimal water use, and a footprint measured in days, not months. Let's see. No, I think they're separate. Tesla has, because there's a separate part of this. Tesla has a $1 billion lithium refinery in Robstown, Texas, using an acid-free process that produces construction-grade waste instead of hazardous byproducts. Tesla aims to supply lithium hydroxide for 1 million EVs annually. Tesla sources hard rock feedstock, whereas Energy X focuses on brine, making them more complementary than competitive. But they're both chasing a sub $4,000 per ton lithium hydroxide, which apparently must be much more expensive than that. That's almost too mathematical for me.
I think I understand some of the concept. Before, they used to let it evaporate and then they'd shovel it, it sounds like, and now it's almost like like the way they used to pan for gold, or still do gold. You mix mercury in with a solution and it bonds with the gold, and then the gold falls out. I don't think they're using mercury in this case, but it sounds like a similar process. You just mix the solvent and it bonds, it falls out, rather than having to wait for it all to evaporate.
It's funny. We were talking a little bit yesterday about tritium. So this is one of the fascinating things about nuclear fusion. People are always talking about how nuclear fusion, once again, it's going to be free energy and everything else going to be obsolete. Well, so a fusion reactor needs like 50 kilograms a year of tritium.
Okay.
At any given time, there's only about 20 kilograms exist, because it has this half-life of 12 years.
Constantly.
Yeah. So apparently the best source of tritium is Canada's CANDU reactors. So fission reactors take nuclear waste and convert it into tritium, which is needed to power the fusion reactors. It's an interesting thing in that the two, fission and fusion, are somewhat synergistic.
That they could have a cycle between the two of them.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. And, but, so because I've heard people say, well, what are you going to do when fusion comes around? Well, now I really know the answer. It's like, well, you have to have fusion to have fission. I'm sorry, you have to have fission to have fusion.
Yeah.
And
what happens when that comes around? We're going to sell them our garbage.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to store our garbage and they can do what they want with it. Right. Yeah. It's just kind of a fascinating, little trivia piece, because I've had that question a bunch of times. Well, what do you do when fusion comes around and replaces everything? It's like, there's no tritium, you know.
Daisies
So
in our hair and dance around in a circle because we solved energy. The world will be a better place when that happens.
It sure will. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for coming on today, and I'll be back with Bill tomorrow at 1 Central Time. We pushed the Thursday show back an hour or a half. Anyways, and Mike and I will be back next week. Otherwise, everybody have a great day.